everybody. How you doing? Dave Fennoy here. And I hope everybody had a happy 4th of July. Here we are again. Ask Dave Fennoy anything on this Wednesday, 6 p.m. on the nose, right on time. I was going to have Terry Berlin join me today. We were going to talk a little bit about the workshop I have coming up, voice acting for video games. But she had some other things she had to take care of, so it's just me, and that's okay with me. Want to remind you that if you're interested in taking private lessons with me, davefennoy.com, click on the Study VO tab at the top, and all of these Ask Dave Fennoy Anythings live on my YouTube channel, Dave Fennoy Voiceover Training. Well, let's say hello to a few people, and as we get started, hey, my buddy Michael Glover, good to see you, Dave, he says, and good to see you, Michael. Grace Newton, hello from Raleigh, North Carolina. Well, not a familiar face, but welcome nonetheless. And let's get into this. I'll say hello to a few other people. And by the way, we're not just going to talk about my workshop today, but we have a couple places open. I think there are 2 or 3 seats available. Now, if you want to be a fly on the wall that gets to see and hear it all, you can do that. All the seats possible are available. You'd not be able to participate getting reads done, but you get a chance to see everything, which is why I call them flies on the wall. Everybody else calls us an auditor, and maybe that seems a little odd. Well, I don't want to be a fly on the wall, but we've all said that, haven't we? When we want to be a fly on the wall someplace with somebody important talking about some things that are kind of, yeah. Who else is here? Michael Haskins. Like the little guitar there symbol. Jeremy Arthur Rudd. Hello, Jeremy. How are you doing? Okay. So let me bring this up. The workshop is happening this Saturday and Sunday, 10 to 5. It's 2 days. Attendees will learn, well, to develop believable, compelling characters, how to do bookable auditions, what to expect on the job, how to protect your voice, the less is more principle, art techniques of video game voice acting, and more. And once again, we're limited to 15 participants. Auditors are welcome, and there's the price, $395 per participant, $150 for auditors, and it's all going to be from Zoom. And you know, these used to cost a lot more. I used to get to travel to places. I have taught this workshop that is like a living thing because there's always something new being added, or sometimes because of technology being taken away. Used to have a whole thing on auditioning at your agent's office, and don't get distracted by the camaraderie. You sit in the room, hey, how you doing? What's going on? How's the family doing? Blah, blah, blah. And then you neglect to look at your copy, and nobody auditions at their agent's office anymore. That just ain't a thing anymore. Always got to keep up with the changes, new things that are going on, new equipment, so forth and so on. So I'm constantly updating the curriculum. And speaking of the curriculum, this is kind of what it looks like. The first part on Saturday morning, it's pretty much a lecture. And I invite you to read the small print there. It says, acting for video games is acting. The same techniques used to investigate, prepare, and perform a role for stage, film, or television apply. What I teach are ways to take the words off the page and deliver dynamic, believable auditions and performances. Nothing here is new, except that it is specifically designed to help actors understand and succeed in the unique genre of video games. And the date on there, 2016, that's when I originally wrote the first voice acting for video games, but this was just updated just days ago. We look at what the challenges are for voice acting from video games. We're not in costume or makeup. That kind of helps you get into the mood. If you're playing a soldier and you're wearing a costume, you're wearing that soldier uniform, or you're playing a knight and you're in armor, or whatever the character you're playing. Maybe you're a dragon and you've got a dragon suit on or prosthetics on your face. Helps you get into character. Other than audition lines, the first time you see the script is when you are performing it. It's a little bit of instant acting, a little bit of being a method actor line by line. The actor works alone without the benefit of another actor's energy and interaction. We've all heard the comment, what is acting? Acting is reacting, but there's no other actor there to react to. You're reading lines on a page or screen instead of having lines memorized. And the transaction of seeing the words, recognizing them, and turning them into thoughts and feelings to give detail of your thoughts and feelings is a little more difficult than if they're just there, or as a human being walking the streets every day, just making up the things you're saying as you go along. You're reacting to something. We have to learn to do that. You're not on stage, on set, or on location. No, you are standing here, microphone there, words on, whoops, let's go back there. Words on a page or words on a screen, and you have to bring those words to life. And because we have to stay on mic, our movements are limited, unless, of course, you're working with a theater mic. I'll go a little further in the script here. By the way, I am taking questions on anything else today, comments on anything else today, so feel free to jot them on down. I get some of my sayings in here. The words are only the beginning, because there's so much more than just the words. I'll tell you a little bit about the acting style, the rule of thumb for video game acting. The style of video games more similar to theater and feature film. Video game performances lean toward drama as opposed to animation, which leans towards comedy. Does that mean there's no comedy in video games? No. Does it mean there's no drama in animation? No. Performances are more natural and nuanced. And one of my great beliefs is if you're choosing between enunciation and emotion, choose emotion. If somebody's blubbering while they're crying and we can't quite understand the words they are saying, we will understand the feeling that they have through the blubbering, even if we don't catch each and every word. And isn't that really what we want to understand? And like with everything else in voiceover, we are translating the written word into the spoken word. Oh, let's go another page. The words are only important in that they give detail of what a character is thinking and feeling. I have a bunch of these sayings that I'll go through. What is the tone or feeling of the game description example, so you can figure out what the tone is and how to get in there, how to help you find the character. Have a lot on that. We work with copy from actual video games that give you a chance to look at the game description, the character descriptions, the pictures of the characters, so you can get a sense of feeling of what's going on. Just flipping through some of those. And I'm going to mention this. I'll stay on this page for a little bit. I don't call it that throughout my workshop, but a little bit of what I'm doing is the Chautauqua method, which is a performance in 3 parts. If you go to a Chautauqua performance, there is the performance, and then there is the answering questions as the character. So at a Chautauqua event, it's usually a one-man show, say, and he does his performance and then sets a chair on stage, and the audience asks the actor questions to answer as the character. This is often done with historical characters. So not only does the actor need to know his lines and what's going on in this particular play that he's doing, but he also needs to understand more than what was presented. Um, uh, and then answering questions as the actor about the character. So he does the performance, he or she answers questions as the character, and then as the actor, as the person that they are, answering questions about that character that they discovered. Um, it's quite a wonderful method and exciting performance, especially if you are a history buff. This is used very often in schools to teach students about famous characters. What do you do when there's not that much information on a script? Well, things like that. Some actor questions to answer about the character. Um, um, oh, and my buddy Mark Estale, I had to use his quote: "The voice is the exhaust of the acting engine." Just kind of take that in. What just happened? Oh, well, the 5 questions to break down any scene. Um, all that there. We do some exercises with that. We learn how to create scenarios. Oh, that wasn't Johnny Appleseed. I forgot to put my name there. Your body informs your voice. Well, maybe I'm not the first one to say that, but it's very important information. Um, how to create and honor inner dialogue. There's another one. Don't make the words precious. Make the character precious. I think you're getting the idea of what I'm talking about. So I'll leave that alone. Just want to let you know there are a few places, I think there are 3 spots available. And for flies on the wall or auditors, we can have as many people as can join. And you can visit Terry Berlan Workshop to if you would like to join that class in any way. Oh, it's not on there. Terry Berlan Workshop. Well, I should have made that a thing. Anyway, all right. So let's talk about some other things, shall we? What's going on in your voiceover world? How are you handling things? Let's see. Oh, there, Michael Haskins. With the current economic situation in the U.S., recession, how does it affect the voiceover industry? Well, we do not live in a bubble of just voiceover. We are living in this world like everybody else. I think it affects us in so many ways. If you're trying to buy equipment, it may take a little bit longer. Say you want that new microphone, or you're buying a booth from someplace or some hardware. Well, the supply chain is slowed down. So things are going to get to you slower and may cost more. The old supply and demand thing. That's a little thing. I think that one of the things too is because of COVID and the continuation of COVID, it feels like we're coming out of COVID now. But the truth of the matter is, COVID is still with us. It's not as deadly as it was because most of us have become vaccinated, but COVID cases are rising. Not like they were in the midst of, the pandemic. Just we were getting death reports every day, but people are getting sick. A lot of people I know have come down with COVID, but because they were vaccinated, it was mild. It was like a little bit of the flu or a little bit of a cold, and they got over it. So I think we are affected much like the rest of the world has been affected. I think because of COVID and so many people setting up home studios over the last couple of years, I don't think we are ever going to go back to going back to the professional studios as much as we once did. There were a lot of people in LA, New York, and other places in this business and others who left New York and LA and other places to move to less sparse areas where they would have less of a chance of running into people who might be sick and get them sick. And a lot of those people aren't coming back, aren't ever coming back. Because of the internet, you can work from anywhere. Where I used to teach workshops around the country and the world. Well, I'm back a little bit. I was just in Spain and London teaching. But I used to teach in Vegas and New York and Dallas and Atlanta and San Francisco and Seattle, some other cities around the world and around the country and the world. And that, for a couple of years, was nil. Um, and now, especially cities like Seattle, San Francisco, Las Vegas, are less likely to have me drive in or fly in. They're much more likely to use the ease of Zoom, uh, which I'm fine with, but there's something nice about being face to face, being able to touch people, being able to see them in person. But Zoom is a thing. Let's say hello to a couple other people. Well, there's Kay Weaver. How you doing, Kay? And the lovely Janessa A. Morgan. Oh, that's not good evening to me. It's just good evening to everyone. Okay, I understand. Michael Glover again. I'm considering submitting an audition for a video game character whose voice specs are suave, slimy, smooth type of thing. A slimy con artist, but the character is white. Should I not try it? Wow, that's a good question. You're opening up a can of worms. Because of things that happened during COVID, when we were all locked down, we all saw the tragedy, the murder of George Floyd. And one of the, nothing is ever all bad or all good. One of the byproducts is everybody was at home watching television. Everybody got to see it. Everybody saw the horror that we as black people have experienced since our fathers and our grandfathers and our grandmothers and our great-grandmothers. And people marched, people spoke out, and in our little part of the voiceover world, people started taking a look at casting practices, especially for cartoons and video games. And one of the things they discovered was a lot of white people playing the roles of black people, Latin people, Asian people. And often you've gotten the excuse from the casting director, well, gosh, we couldn't find anybody. Gee, there just wasn't anybody available, which, is either a lie or just ignorance. And because what we're looking for in this world is an all-inclusive workforce, instead of just who we might be comfortable with. A lot of white people who were playing roles of black people, Latin people, Asian people, gave up those roles. So those roles went to people who were black, Asian, Latin. Now, in a perfect world, we'd say, wow, I'm an actor. I play characters who are not me. I should be able to play any of those characters. But A, it's not a perfect world. And B, once again, this is show business. And what we are looking for are opportunities for everybody. And that means that perhaps if you're white, maybe you don't get to play black people or Asian people anymore. So we can't hire black people and Asian people. So back to your question, what does that mean for us as black people? Can we play white people? That's a good question. I'm going to say that the lines are not black and white. They are gray. I also know I have white friends who grew up in the hood. I have a student who is of Indian heritage but grew up in the hood. And my white friends from the hood and my Asian friend from the Indian friend from the hood speak like they're from the hood. This is their culture. This is the way they speak. This is the music they listen to. These are the movies. This is the entertainment. Culturally, this is who they are. So sometimes, I think we're going to have to look the other way. Now, I say that in the full understanding that, it's going to rub a few people the wrong way. So be it. And I certainly am going to bring up, I'm not going to mention her name, the young white lady that was so eager to play black characters that she set up a website pretending she was black to get those jobs. No. Anyway, once again, gray area. For the most part, let's hire people who are this. But there are going to be some exceptions. It I don't think can ever be 100% rule. Oh, my boy, Trey Mosley, what's up? The excuses used often as actors act, which is utter BS, totally disregarding true representation. So true, so true, so true. Let's see. Big Lou, Blue Star. My go-to UA pre. Oh, okay. Excellent. And let's see. Chandria Campbell. Child. Now, some people would have thought that was chili, but no. Nicole Perez. Ah, yes, I remember she did that, and I had an actual character for her, too. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Yeah, I remember that. I looked at the site. It was sad. Let's see. Dustin Frank, I got that audition too. I wouldn't be mad at you, Michael. And sometimes there are characters that aren't racially specific. And not all black people in America sound like what the stereotype is, what we think black people are, or Latin people with the stereotype of what so many Americans think a Latin person should sound like, or an Asian person should sound like. Sometimes a character, what the race is of the character just doesn't matter. I noticed watching television as I was growing up. When I was a little kid, when black people were on TV, my parents were calling hey, so-and-so's on TV, on this show, he's got a... and for a long time, it would always be a black issue. The black doctor who had to save the racist, who then would rethink his drink. Oh, maybe these black people aren't terrible after all. Well, I have to turn in my KKK costume. But we've gotten to a place in the world now where, because a black person, Asian person, Latin person, gay person is on a show, doesn't mean that that's what the show is about. If the show is casting a doctor who has a particular worldview, he's just a jerk, or he or she is just a jerk, or a good guy, or bad gal, or whatever. It may not need to be any particular race. We are in a world now where we're seeing casting that is multicultural. That, race isn't a matter, so we're not going to worry about race. I see auditions all the time now that are male or female. That's not something that happened years ago. This is just in the last 5 years or so that we are seeing auditions for spokespeople, that auditioning men and women, same copy, exact same copy. I've never heard more women on commercials on TV and radio. Still, not hearing that many women, if any, on movie trailers, but I'm sure that bridge will be crossed as well. Let's see. Oh, I'm not going to mention her name again, but or should I didn't mention it, but I'm still not. Trey. Oh, we'll never forget her. I bet a lot of you remember her name. Please don't add it here. Michael Glover. With that being said, I feel I can do it. I'm going for it. All they can say is no. Thanks, Dave. Now, on the other hand, you're going to find sometimes they're looking for a Caucasian person because maybe there is something about the Caucasianness of that character that needs to be there. Um, I see auditions all the time that if you're not of Indian, I'm talking about over Asian Indians, don't audition. If you're not black, they call it African American. I say black. If you're not African American, don't audition. That's what we're looking for. If you're not Latin, don't audition. That's what we're looking for. And I applaud that. And I look forward to a day, hopefully in my lifetime, where we don't have to do that. Don't know if that's ever going to come. We're clearly living in a world, in this country, in two worlds. I think the majority of people in this country, perfect or not, want to live together in peace and harmony and don't care who you are or what you're doing. If you can do the job, you can do the job. I'm not just talking about voiceover. If you can get into school, you can get into school. We don't care, don't want to live in a world where we're so focused on race. Unfortunately, especially those of us who are black, Latin, Asian, have to. But it will be nice one day, hopefully, that we won't have to. That we really do look at a person's character instead of the color of their skin, look at their skill set instead of the color of their skin, or look at who they are as a human being, and not look at color of their skin, their religion, their sexual orientation. I think most of us are leaning in that direction, but we got some hardcore people, and they're well armed, who do not. And we are at a crossroads in this country. Didn't mean for this to go political or outside the bounds of voiceover, but once again, we are human beings. Most of us in this country, I know there's some people outside this country watching, listening, but we are living in this world with everything else that's going on. We cannot escape it, and we certainly shouldn't ignore it. All right, LC Brodus. Hey, Dave. Oh, wait, this is whoops. Hey, how did I do that? Let's see. There we go. Oh, got a book here. What mediation still can answers? How about if people have flawed perceptions of what black sounds like? During our interview in 2019, I talked about my voice because it's really unique, and most people perceive me as white. Yet I do over 32 different freaking character voices. Well, you know what? I certainly get that. And once again, I'm going to leave that up so people can see it a little bit. You bring up some of the gray area that I'm talking about. Once again, in a perfect world, anybody in voiceover should be able to play any character, but once again, not a perfect world. And we want a world where work-wise, it's inclusive. I run into the same thing too. I have done characters from would probably be perceived as white to characters that are Mississippi Delta, uneducated, old black man, but still with a dignity and understanding. I have been Russian and Eastern European and African and South American and any number of things. I've stopped doing my Indian accent just because there are a lot of Indian people out there that can play those roles. Keep showing up as you and do the things that you can do. And understand you're not going to book most of them, just like none of us are going to book most of them. But I also think that we as black people in this country, I'm going to take this off because I can't see my beautiful face. We as black people in this country don't always sound what is the perception of what black people sound like. I got it a lot when I was a kid growing up. My mother was a school teacher. My father was a veterinarian. And my mother made sure that I spoke English correctly. And kids in my neighborhood, not so much. So I used to get, oh man, you talk like a white boy. Well, look at my living. And it's not for talking like a white boy, it's talking like Dave Fennoy in many different ways. Playing characters of various worldviews, various cultures, various backgrounds, various levels of education, from various places, and even outside of this country, various places within this country. I have talked about, I guess I'm going to talk about it again, the number of times I was on a session, and usually this isn't a session for video games or cartoons. These were commercial sessions, narrations, where a white director would say, can you make it blacker? And I finally started saying, look, I'm not sure I understand what you mean. Blacker. Would you ever ask a white actor to make it whiter? I don't think so. I think no, this guy is from New York. This guy is from Mississippi. This guy is from the Pacific Northwest. This guy has a college degree. This guy never finished school. This guy feels this way. This guy is angry all the time. This guy has a high voice or a lower voice. You wouldn't say, hey, can you make it whiter? What the hell would that mean? So would you make it blacker? Means nothing. But it speaks, unfortunately, to the racism, the race consciousness of people in this country. And when I say that, it's all of us. Especially as black people, we certainly can't help it. I know a lot of white folks and others would like to not think about it. I'm sorry, we can't let you not think about it, because so much of what happens in this country, so many of the systems that have been developed in this country prolong abuse against us in so many ways. And you have to hear it. You have to believe us. So often you don't, but you really need to. And just because I have the Rainbow Coalition of friends, and I am a person who loves humanity. I like people. I really do. I don't care who or what you are, racially or whatever. That doesn't mean that I ignore injustice against myself and people like me. And sometimes, not every conversation I'm going to have with you, whatever you are, is not going to be about that. But sometimes it has to be about that. Anyway, Jim Frank, what's going on? Real Typecast is huge in animation right now. Well, so much of acting in so many ways is typecasting. And I hope you don't mind I mention this. Jim Frank, white guy, East Coast, has that great East Coast working guy sound, has a voice made for animation and video games. He's working with me right now, and he's going to kill it. And what he's working on? Coming out of radio. Been in radio a long time. And sometimes one of the big things about coming out of radio is letting go of some of that control of words and creating a song that don't really mean nothing, but you think makes the word sound good. Michael Haskins. Hello from Oxford, North Carolina. Granville, Colorado? Oxford, NC. Granville, Colorado. Okay, okay. Well, thank you, Michael. By the way, Kristen Pava said hi, who is a casting director for Disney, and that I got to work with a little bit. Michael Haskins. Hank Azaria gave up his role as Apu on The Simpsons. One example of authenticity. He did. There were a few other people. I forget the actor's name, but I remember years and years and years ago auditioning to play the main character on the Cleveland show. And I thought, oh, it's a black character. I'm from Cleveland. I ought to be able to nail this bad boy. And a white guy got it. But after 10 years and pressure from the public, I'm not even sure it was pressure directed toward him specifically, but he saw the light and gave it up. I bet he's still getting those residuals, though. Grace Newton, question. I'm just getting into video game voice acting and will be auditing the workshop this weekend. What are some other resources I should look into while shopping coaches? Primary steps to take. Well, you can always work with me. That's a good thing to do. Take a theatrical approach to working on video games. Do less with the words and more with the character. I'm going to say that. Forget about perfection of reading the words. As a matter of fact, the words are only there to remind you of what you're saying. Once you know what they are, and I know you're not memorizing them, but after you've read, fortunately, typically lines are pretty short, but after you've read those lines a couple of times, they should be there. They'll be in your head. There's a little imprint there. Don't read them after that. Say them. What's the character thinking, feeling? Give those words that. Don't try to make the words special. Make the character special. All right. LC again. There need to be more casting directors of color, as well as animators, investors, producers, and distributors. Well, LC, I'm going to say this. I agree, and yet I can't help but look at the landscape of media now, and it's much different. It's much more colorful than when I was coming along, and that is because of just what you're talking about. There are more casting directors of color, animators, investors, producers, and distributors now. Yeah, we need more, but it is happening, and I don't think it's ever fair to talk about what the need is without also checking into what the progress has been. Does it mean we stop? No. But you're absolutely right. I've been watching The Right to Offend, which is a documentary on black comedians that goes way back to minstrelsy and brings us through today, and Dave Chappelle and Chris Rock and other great black comedians, and what we've had to go through and what the message of black comedians has been. And I recommend it for anybody. I know there's a big push right now that so many white folks don't want to be reminded, don't want to hear anything about us, our history. We don't want to teach it in the schools. It's all critical race theory. Why are you making my kids feel bad about themselves? It ain't about making your kids feel bad about themselves. It's about the truth of history in this country and the world. That's all that it's about. Forget slavery. That was X number of years ago. But in Texas, it's still remember the Alamo, and you're still carrying around that Confederate battle flag. So cut it. Let's just teach the truth. It's not about making anybody feel bad about themselves. I don't care who you are, you've got some ancestors that did some messed up stuff. You also probably have some ancestors that did some wonderful things. They're gone now. We are here now. Let's change the system in those places that it is systematically racist. Uh, and it is in so many places. All right. Trey Mosley, what can we as talent say to get CD's agents more educated on cultural appropriation and how to properly vet folks of color for the job? Well, I think we have to be in a conversation with them. Now, all too often, we think of that conversation, we think of protesters and agitators and whatnot, and we need those people. But what I'm suggesting is, as a partner with your agents, as a partner with people that you're working with, remind them, tell them. Sometimes it takes being a bit of the Dick Gregory, who basically lost his comedian career, which was huge. He was the number one comedian in the country at the time, because he was more interested in fighting for civil rights. I'm not suggesting you give up your career, but I am suggesting that we have to be honest with the people we work with and work for. I'm going to have some work done on my house, and I'm asking Conrad, well, how many people of color you got working for you? I know you got some Latin folks, but are there some black folks, some Asian folks? Who's working for you? Because I want to see the Rainbow Coalition working on my house. I want you to be good, but this is what I want to see. We have to be those people. Sometimes people need a little reminder. So many stores, companies have gotten the message. And once again, I'm a little bit older than a lot of you. I remember when affirmative action came in, and you had to have that for them to hire any black people at all. Oh, damn, we got to hire 5 black people. Okay. Well, I remember I was in San Francisco, and I was going for a job at one of the TV stations there. It was the ABC station. And a friend of mine was a cameraman from New York, and he had been a cameraman for a long time. And of the people who were applying for this job, he was clearly the one with the most experience. But the black HR director told him, you really are the most qualified candidate, but we already have filled our quota of black people working here. I'm sure, another station will be happy to have you. And that's how ingrained that kind of thing was, that the black HR person was following these guidelines. So you can hire this many black people and no more. A lot of you are too young to remember that kind of thing, but that kind of thing happened, and in some places it's still happening. Grace Newton, Michael Haskins, hi there. Michael, I just moved here from Louisville, Kentucky. Love NC so far, and I haven't even been to the coast. Okay, and now we're having the conversations. That's all right. That's all right. All right, Grace and Michael, I hope you guys can get together and have a beer. Dustin Frank, great deep analysis with that tough question. Well, thank you, Dustin. Pamela Tansey, right on, Dave. And let's see. Oh, Uncle Roy joined this? Oh, well, I didn't see him there, but apparently you're here. Hi, Uncle Roy from Grace. And let me see if I can get to a question, actually. Ellery King, me as well. I've been told that I needed to sound more black due to the fact that I speak proper English. Sometimes it feels like you can't win for losing. If you want to go to school, if you want to get a job, if you want to do well, you need to join the culture as it is, or the general culture, and be able to speak the language of the general culture. But then once you do that, you can get it from both sides. You can get it from black people that you knew or didn't know that you grew up with. Oh, you talk like a white boy. And then from the other side, well, ooh, you're just an Oreo. What's wrong with you? You're not really black, are you? You know, uh, I like you. You fit in with us because you're black, and they probably wouldn't say black. You're African American, but you're different, which is one of the most insulting things you can say. The majority of black people uh, are just like the majority of white folks. Been to college, have middle class careers of some kind, law abiding, trying to pay their mortgages, get the kids through school, the same issues everybody else has, just a little more weight on their back. All right. Looking for a good question here. Horace always has something. Uh, J. Horace Black, the direction I would get a lot. Hey, Jay, could you do it like you're talking to your boys on the street? Uh, and like so many of us, like most of us, we don't have no boys on the street. Now, we are actors, so we sometimes kind of get what it is you're talking about. And maybe we got an uncle or somebody. I remember my father when he had a private practice. He had a buddy Roscoe who ran the Western Union office next door. And Roscoe always talked like this. What's happening? Oh, little David, what's going on there, boy? Good to see you. And it has become a character that I do. Uh, but I didn't have no boys on the street. Anyway, let's see. LC, bro, I still get called white girl. I say, pay me like one. A wealthy one. Now, my white and other friends, you're getting a little bit of education here, and I hope you don't mind. Michael Glover, political. I know you're busy, but if you get a 120 when you are resting, check out my political demo in your private message. I think you may like it. I did not rehearse it. It was spoken from the heart. Okay, I'll check that out, Michael. J. Horace Black, let's face it. This is one industry they can get away with it. I have learned to roll with it and not take it personally. Grateful to be working. Well, I'm going to say this. It's going to sound like it's in defense of white people. It's not. It's looking at the truth. Everybody is at the effect of racism in this country. We are all suffering from it. How that suffering shows up is different. But you have white people that have been so racist when the law said, oh no, you have to open this pool to everybody. They'd rather close the pool and not have swimming for their friends and family and kids than allow black people to join it. But sometimes it's out of ignorance. It's about those whispers of a culture that have said these things about black people, even when you have taken some black history and you know black people and you have black friends, but the racism is still filtered through society. It affects us all. We've all been poisoned. It's like a virus in us sometimes, and most of the time, most of us get along really well, and then something happens. It could be an OJ verdict where Black America saw one thing, white America saw something else. But then we saw George Floyd with that white cop with his knee on his neck unto death for 9 minutes and however many seconds that was. And you had to understand. Let's look at just today, or not today, but the other day on 4th of July. Young man, would he shoot 12 and injured, or killed 6 and injured about 20 or so? I don't remember exactly what the numbers are because you get them mixed up because there's so many mass shootings now. He was taken alive, and within the same day or two, a young black man was shot 60 times for a traffic violation. Come on. Come on. Uh, you have to believe us when we tell you these things, when we see these things, when we know there's a difference in how we are treated and you are treated. I live great. I have a great career, great life. Um, I go to dinner, I'm not budgeting. I have a great car, great house, all of that. It's not about me, it's about all of us. And when I say all of us, I'm not just talking about black people. I'm talking about the white people, the Asian people, the Latin people, the men, the women, the gays, the transgender. We all got to live here together, one way or another. Da 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 da. Let's see. Okay, still got conversations going on there with each other. Actually, I don't mind that. It's great. Uh, I'll share that. Grace talking to someone. Have you gotten out? LOL. I lived there for 8 years. Where do you reside currently? Is that a budding romance going on there? I don't know. Jim Frank. Love this guy. Last King of Wales was on my mother's side. He lost the war. Well, you know what? You're royalty, actually. Michael Haskins, to your point, Dave, living out here in Oxford, North Carolina, I get the now how you sound to the observation that I'm not from around here. One person remarked that I was advanced. I made it very clear that I was not. Not bad for a New Yorker that barely graduated from high school. Yeah, there's so many accents. There's so many ways to identify you're from here, you're not from here. At some point, we got to get into that. We're all Americans, and if we can get that, then maybe we can get to the we are all citizens of the planet. I know it's tough. I know it's tough. J. Horace Black. Yes, I remember my first agent suggesting that I talk with rocks or use a cork to speak clear when I started back in the 90s. Now I have to be more urban, casual, hip, cool. Basically, the way I was in the 90s. And it's a shame. The thing that I think most of us need to be is the more ourselves as we can, the most of ourselves as we can be. Each and every one of you has something unique in how you show up, what your voice makes people feel like. We're in a world now where, it used to be when I was a kid growing up, I knew kids, black kids in the suburbs who, talked even more white than I did. We've got to get over that. We've got to realize that it's not about how you speak. It's about what you think, what you do. It's not about where you're from. It's where you're going and who you can bring along, who you're willing to join, which should be anybody of like mind. It's going to be tough to befriend somebody that thinks you're less than human or somehow they're better than you. But for the most part, we have to give the benefit of the doubt. I know sometimes, even for me, that's difficult. But you have to give the benefit of the doubt because that's what I expect. I expect to get the benefit of the doubt. And I say that knowing that I had to work to get that, as opposed to think automatically that somebody that doesn't look like me is going to treat me different. Part of the reason I wear dreadlocks is a statement about who I am. And I am going to walk this earth as me. I am a free person on this planet. This is not where I decided it was meaning to go today, but hey, I don't think it's a bad thing. Ellery King, damn beautifully spoken, Dave. Truth is truth. All this is especially weird to me due to the fact that I Forrest Gumped my way into this business. Truth be told, I've been a musician all my life. Jack Angel was my friend. Oh, Jack. God bless him. He's responsible for my being here. And, Jack Angel, white guy, older white guy, no longer with us. Jack befriended me as well. I can't say he did as much for me as you, but not because he wouldn't just, wasn't, our paths didn't cross like that. But God bless him for what he did for you, Ellery King. And he was a good guy. All right, Trey. Oh boy, we're getting close to the end of this thing. Do you feel being outspoken, Dave, hinders folks getting you work or wanting to work with you? Better question, do you give a expletive? There probably was a time that I did. I don't now. I'm very political on Facebook. I have gotten to a point of success. I don't have any fucks left to give, so I can show up and be me. And I hope that I show up as somebody who has care for everybody. But I also will speak truth to everybody. I'm not wearing blinders. The world is not a perfect place. Racism is alive and well. It's deeper in our systems than it is, I think, sometimes in the people living in the country. And somehow we have got to get the people in this country to understand the racist systems that need to be changed. And sometimes those systems, even beyond racism, sexism is there, and homophobia is there. And nowadays, of course, transphobia is there. And we'd like to think that all these things are new. Oh, we didn't have all these gay people before. We didn't have all these trans people before. Well, trans people, you didn't have the medical ability for trans people. Do I agree with everything in the trans community? No. But what is there being trans doing to my life? Not a doggone thing. I could say, well, I don't understand gay people because I'm not gay. So what? Why would I want to do anything to hurt them or be against them or keep them from? And my question with the white people who are racist: what's wrong with you that you think somehow black people, gay people, Asian people, Latin people, whoever, being able to live a life somehow lessened yours? That's pretty effing sick. Michael Glover, yeah, that was great. Mike, could you do another one a bit more ethnic? Yeah, I've heard that one too. And when they didn't say, could you make it blacker, it was, could you make it more urban? Tim Bamba, thank you for this. Tim, thank you for thanking me. I appreciate that. Jay Horace, Dave, can you take into your booth? Can you take into your booth so we can see your mic setup next week? Also, do you have a switch set on the go back and forth between mics, or do you physically change the mic connection each time? I'll take you in there at some point, or do some pictures or something. Yeah, I'll probably do a little video. It's easier to sit at my desk, and then I can run a video here and show you my booth. But I have 2 mics hung. I did have my Manly hung because the lady who owns Manly, she's friends with a girl who lives across the street, and I wanted, if they stopped by, which they were going to do, I was going to, hey, I got my Manly hung. But I had a request for my 103 today for a client, so I took down the Manly and put the 103 back up. So the Manly's back in the box. But I have a 416 and TLM 103. They sit on opposite sides of my desk, and I can swing them in as I need them. And I have a mic changer that I push a button, and now it's the 416. I push another button. Now the 416 is turned off and the 103. So I can switch between two mics very quickly. And if I need to use some other microphone, I have quick change hardware. So I could just pop it off. That one comes, unplug the wire, pop another one on, plug it up, and away we go. But I'll do a video on that. I have an old school booth. It's a whisper room. I'm a little jealous of the studio bricks now. I think that's a great product, but my probably 20-year-old whisper room still works great, so there's no excuse for me to get rid of it. All right. LC again. Hey Dave, have you ever wanted to produce your own animated show or game? You know what? Let's talk about that. I do. I have a number of ideas that I have not done. And looking at the information and history we have now, there's so much available. There's so many stories to tell. So yeah, LC, let's talk. Let's talk. Maybe we can, I'm probably that person that needs a group of people to make something happen with me. I tend to kind of be a lone wolf and do my thing. I think that's one of the reasons voiceover works so well for me. But I'd like to partner up with some people and get some projects done. All right. Let's see. Grace Newton again. Do I need to be a gamer? I'm not. To better understand the video game genre, would it benefit me to watch video game clips to immerse myself, or might that be detrimental? You can watch video game clips. It certainly is not going to hurt you. But guess what? I'm not a gamer either, and I've been on more than 500 games, and we'll brag a little bit right here. IMDb called me one of the 20 best male game voices of all time. I am not a gamer. I'm an actor. There's a clue in that. All right. Let's see. Okay, I see. Elsie again. Your willingness to be honest and the outspoken is one of the things I find most endearing and respectful among your talent. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I don't think I need to live in it every day, all day with people. But when it's appropriate, I think you need to speak truth to power, truth to not power, truth to everyone. And with that, we are overtime. Oh my God, it's 7:03. I'm late. Listen, everybody, thank you so much for joining me. Especially when it's just me. I can never tell exactly where this thing is going to go, the kinds of questions I'm going to get. But I really appreciate being able to share this time with you. I feel like I get as much out of it sharing with you as I hope you get out of it in terms of information. Once again, these live on my YouTube channel, Dave Fennoy Voiceover Training. If you're interested in private lessons, davefennoy.com. And let me clip it again. And Friday and Saturday, or Saturday and Sunday, not Friday and Saturday, Saturday and Sunday. Got a couple spots left. Voiceover Workshop Intensive, hosted by Terry Berland. You can go to Terry Berland. Let's see, there it is, TerrBerland workshops.com if you'd like to join me Saturday and Sunday. We're going to learn a lot, and we're going to have a lot of fun. And after you take this workshop with me, when I tell you what I say at the end of everything, you'll actually be able to do it, which of course is book something. See ya.